So I'm just going to walk through this quickly, just giving you kind of an overall timeline of Jeremiah's life and events. So he's born in 645 BC. There's the call on his life when he's about 18 years old. The book of the law in the temple is found. Then there's a king Jehoiakim, and they started to have more problems in the temple in terms of having more false idols and not doing the cleaning out of the temple. Jehoiakim burnt the scrolls that Jeremiah had written, and Jeremiah wrote them over again. The scrolls actually had to be delivered by his assistant Baruch, because he was in jail at the time, and he wasn't allowed to go out and share what was written. So Baruch went out on his behalf. Then Zedekiah becomes king. Jeremiah then puts on a wooden yoke, and he wears that around to say, if you submit to Babylon, then they will let you stay. But they decided to keep fighting. So he would give them very specific instructions as to what they were to do based on what God was communicating to them. And so he wore this wooden yoke around to show that they needed to be yoked into Babylon to have a connection. There was a 2-year siege, finally a break in the wall, and then the temple is destroyed and burned. As God promised, Jeremiah was released by Nebuchadnezzar and given his freedom. And eventually Jeremiah goes off into the land of Egypt, where he also told the people to submit to the land of Egypt, to reproduce, to make their families there, because they were going to be there 70 years. And they didn't like that story either. So they continued to not like what Jeremiah was sharing. It gives you an overall view, and then we're going to look at some pictures. Come on, baby.
Do we know any more about Baruch than other than that he was companion of Jeremiah?
In the Jerusalem Bible, there's a book called Baruch. It's Baruch.
And that's this Baruch?
Yes. It follows the book of Jeremiah. He was a scribe, and he wrote down all the prophecies, so he was a secretary.
Okay. So God not only spoke to Jeremiah, but he gave him a couple of images to look at. So it was not just words he was hearing. It was, do you see this tree? Do you see this witness tree, this almond tree? Do you see it? Yes, God, I see it. So he was communicating to him not only in verbal, but he was communicating to him in pictures as well, with real life things. He was showing them, do you see the false prophets that they're worshiping? They had many little wooden statues and false prophets that they would burn incense to. The Lord said, I am putting my words into your mouth. How would that feel to you? The Lord also showed him this vision of this pot, turned over, the boiling pot turned over and pointed towards the north. And he said, do you see this pot? So God was speaking to Jeremiah, like I said, not just in word, but also in actions and seeing images. This is a wooden yoke he had on him. This is a false prophet, Hananiah, who broke the yoke off of him and said, oh, that's not true. We need to fight off the Babylonians. They're going to go away. There's going to be no problem. This is where he's being drugged. His life wasn't easy, so there was torture going on. He's in jail. He's put in the cistern. This is where Jeremiah is fulfilling in action, showing that Jerusalem will be rebuilt and that the holy people will come back to the area of Jerusalem and to Judah. And how does he do that in action? As the Babylonians are attacking the city, and the city is under serious siege, almost at the ending days where the walls are coming down, Jeremiah goes and buys property. That's action. He's investing in property to show that this will be the land for the future. So this is where he's giving his money, 17 shekels of money, and he's signing the deed over, and he's making sure it's witnessed that he's buying property.
I want to comment that Jeremiah, more than probably any prophet except Jesus, taught submission. And remember, in the New Testament, it says we are to submit to all authorities where we are, for those authorities have been given to us by God. I don't think we believe that. He says, by submission, you will win the battle. By battle, you will have to submit more.
He's being, Jeremiah was, arrested. Many people were, but he was let free right at the end. So he probably did think he was going to die under Nebuchadnezzar. And there's the Jerusalem and the temple being burnt. And what was left.
What it is when
He's
you
a
have
prophet.
God's heart, means your relationship with Him, the intimacy you have with the Father, to where you don't have to talk with each other, because you know each other. You can know what He feels, or what He's going to anticipate what He's going to do. And when you have the other one is having to do with your calling for God. God's calling on your life. So when you have God's heart, your intimate relationship with the Father.